We just had Xbox's E3 conference, and with that, there was a lot of games announced and even more games shown. It was an awesome event, and one of their best I've ever seen. But even with all of that, there's still new games leaking. So let's get into what games might be coming and what top developers might be making them for the Xbox Series X. It really looks like Xbox is going all out.
Perfect.
Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to be notified on future content, make sure to hit that small little bell icon. It helps out the channel a lot. So we all know that Xbox has been signing a lot of third-party deals. There's a lot of money being transferred within Microsoft to Xbox so they can inject that support that Xbox has gravely needed for so long now. We saw Avalanche Studios go with Contraband, a brand new AAA game that's being made by them alone. We have The Ascent and all these other third-party games coming into Game Pass day and date. We've seen the support with MLB The Show, we've seen it with Outriders, and we've seen it with so many other developers talking about Game Pass being such a great value to them. And we've also seen games like Warhammer Darktide that are coming into Game Pass day and date. There's so many games being signed that it's kind of overwhelming. We know that Xbox is expanding, we know that they're moving along, and we also know that they're going after talented developers, which is why we're going to be talking about Kojima right now. That's right, Hideo Kojima, one of the most talented developers out there, one of the most popular personalities in the gaming industry, and one of the biggest people that are in the Japanese market that make great games. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Kojima, I have to admit that. I'm not. I don't like his games all that much. Death Stranding, while I played, I think about 18 hours of it, I found it to be a little mundane and a little boring. Did I think it was unique? Of course I did. I thought it was really unique. I enjoyed a lot of the concepts, and it's what kept me there for 18 hours. But over time, I just couldn't finish the game. But if we talk about Kojima, you have to talk about Sony. Because when Sony announced that they were working with Kojima, the internet blew up. The gaming industry blew up. Everybody went crazy. Everybody was like, Kojima's home. When in reality, he was just signing a deal with Sony, a publisher, to make a game. And from the looks of it, it doesn't look like Sony wants to sign anything else with them after Death Stranding reportedly didn't perform all that well in the sales. But what about Kojima and Xbox? People need to understand that Kojima working with Xbox is a huge deal, just like it was a huge deal for Sony. And it's something that this article brings up, especially since it's leaked that Kojima might be working with Xbox exclusively. Here's what the article has to say. Microsoft and Kojima reportedly signed a letter of intent. Xbox game almost certain now. For some time now, we've been hearing rumors that Hideo Kojima is in talks with Microsoft about publishing his next game. A rather large potential defection considering Kojima's last game was a PlayStation exclusive. Well, according to VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb, who broke these rumors to begin with, the negotiations between Kojima and Microsoft have reached the next level. Word is, Kojima and Microsoft have signed a letter of intent that states the two will work together to create a new Xbox game. This isn't a final publishing contract, nitty-gritty details still need to be worked out, but a signed letter of intent means that's almost certainly going to happen. Of course, take this with a grain of salt until something is officially announced, but Grubb certainly seems confident about this. Now, we all know Jeff Grubb and his history of calling things out. He has his ear to the ground with Xbox, he's talked about a lot of things that he knows about, he's even talked about studio acquisitions. While they haven't been announced yet, he thinks that they're going to come up pretty soon. He's talked about game announcements, he almost knew everything that was coming to E3, which, to be honest, he was talking about on his podcast 2 to 3 days before the event even happened. So we all know about him, but at the end of the day, we have to admit, they should all be taken with a grain of salt until something officially is announced by Microsoft. But when you talk about Kojima and Xbox, that rumor has been floating around for a very long time. It's something that we're finally getting to see because this letter of intent might have gone public or somebody might have seen it or heard about it. And it's something that Xbox and Kojima have been talking about for a while. I mean, I've been talking about Kojima and Xbox for what seems like months now, if not almost close to a year. And of course people thought about this because after Death Stranding release, there wasn't that much coming out of Kojima and his production team. Nothing was being announced. There was no announcements from Sony that they were going to get a Death Stranding 2. There was no announcement from Sony that they signed him for anything or any other publisher. In fact, Kojima being such a big personality, you'd think you might see something where he was signing with a publisher right away. And maybe that's where Xbox came in, or maybe Kojima had a game in mind that he just couldn't do without some of the tech that Xbox has. And I'm not saying that Sony doesn't have a powerful piece of hardware. What I'm saying is that maybe a lot of the cloud tech and a lot of things like that are the reason why Kojima signed with Xbox. And it's something that the article mentions right here when it talks about the potential game that Kojima wanted to make. Maybe only a few publishers were able to make it, Google and Microsoft, which is being hinted at right here. So if the deal goes through, what might Kojima be working on for Xbox? Well, Microsoft recently brought on Valve and Stadia veteran Kim Swift as a new Xbox Cloud Gaming Senior Director, with the rumor being that she'll be directly helping Kojima make this next game. Prior to exploring a deal with Microsoft, Kojima was said to be making a game for Stadia that would have really pushed the platform's unique features. That was scuttled when Google got out of the original Stadia games business, but it seems likely whatever he makes for Microsoft will be a continuation of that Stadia project, and thus a cloud-native experience. Kojima has also hinted his next game will weave in various societal elements similar to Death Stranding, although obviously it won't be a direct sequel to that game. Okay, so now I've heard this before. We've had Jez Gordon talk about this, we've had Jeff Grubb talk about this, and multiple insiders talk about the Kojima game and what it could potentially be. I think Kojima loves to innovate. I think he loves making things that nobody else is making. Death Stranding was one of those games. I mean, you took boxes or bodies and you walked across terrain to just deliver them. It was almost basically a delivery service FedEx game. But at the end of the day, it's the things in between, the world building, and the way the atmosphere felt that made it different. Yeah, you're delivering things, but at the end of the day, you're connecting things. That's all Kojima wanted to do. He wanted to show what social media and all those social interactions of people connecting. That's what his game was all about. And if you're looking at xCloud, or if you're looking at the cloud streaming service, there's a reason why he went to Stadia to talk to them, because they were making games for a short amount of time. But once they saw Xbox buy Bethesda, they walked away from first-party investments. They were like, that's too much money. We're not in this all the way. Stadia is just gonna have third-party support and that's it. So of course the Kojima project there might have got scrapped. And that's where Xbox comes in, because we know that Xbox has been battling Google, Amazon, Tencent, all these other big companies. So when they see Kojima, a massive name and a very popular person, become a free agent, so to speak, of course they jumped on that. And the game that he's making fits uniquely into the xCloud system. Now, I gotta admit, this is not going to be an xCloud only game. This is going to be a game that you can play on your Xbox, your PC, and the cloud. But what it's going to do is it's going to connect the network together, the Xbox network. Now, I'm talking ad lib here, but I think the game's going to have something interactive where you'll be playing on your Xbox, but then it's going to connect to your phone. It's going to connect to other people. It's going to be connected through the Xbox network, which is kind of their speciality, right? That's what Xbox does. They have everything connected, cloud saves, everything. Everything is connected through the Xbox network. And that's where I think he wants to put his game. Somewhere where he can make something unique, somewhere where he can make something that nobody else has seen before. That's what he wants to do, is innovate. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a huge AAA game. It might just be a little experiment that he's working on with a smaller team within his production company, or it could be a massive game. We have no idea. All I know is that I'm excited to hear about this, and I also hope it's a game that I enjoy, because so far, I haven't really enjoyed Kojima's games, but hopefully this is the one that I do. Outside of that, there's also these leaks of inXile making a new game or 2 new RPGs with id Tech. Now, this was said by Ryan McCaffrey, has not been confirmed. Phil Spencer didn't say this. This was during the IGN interview with Phil Spencer, but I have a feeling that Ryan McCaffrey might have slipped up here. He was talking about id Tech and how the new Xbox game studios could be using that amazing game development tool. id Tech, like I've talked about in multiple videos, is one of the best game development tools out there. Id Software are wizards with that thing. And Brian Fargo, who is part of inXile, has expanded that studio out a lot since he's joined Xbox. We already know they're working on a massive AAA first-person game that's an RPG, and now we're hearing about these 2 new RPG games being made with id Tech. I've talked about id Tech before, and I think people don't understand how big the Bethesda acquisition was, especially from a software standpoint. Did they get over 2,000 or 3,000 people that are working as developers? Of course Xbox did. But I'm talking about more of the software that's being made there. That's where things are going to start looking interesting for Xbox, because they have all of these new studios and all this new tech that they can play with and put within their first-party studios that were already a part of Xbox. And I think that's where inXile comes in, Obsidian Entertainment, Ninja Theory, and all these other studios that can use this tech from Bethesda and make even better and bigger games. Let's hope that continues, and I want to see what these 2 games are. I'm not saying that they're real, but after hearing Ryan McCaffrey talk about them, he might have slipped something up, and Phil Spencer kind of stayed silent when he mentioned it. But now, let me know what you think about all of these games. Are you surprised Kojima is working with Xbox? What other studios could Xbox sign? Do you even like Kojima games? What type of experience could we see from it? Will we see this game in the next 5 years? Do you believe that inXile is working on 2 games? what other studio do you want to see work with id Tech? Because me, I want to see Halo Infinite on id Tech because I think it would look insane. Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zocker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamer tag is Zocker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. So right now, I'm playing a bunch of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Trust me, I know. I've been playing this for a while. It's such a good game. It takes a little while to get through it. The roguelite element of dying and then starting all over can be really tough, especially when you get a little further in the campaign, but I love it because you take all the stuff that you got before you died, all the new spears, weapons, cards, armor, people that you find, and you just take it with you, and you start the whole campaign over with all of those materials you gathered. It's such a fun game, but I also love the strategy aspect. Plus, I've been playing a lot of other Warhammer 40k games like Armageddon and Dawn of War. Those games are a lot of fun. The strategy game thing has kind of hit me hard, so I'll be jumping into those. Plus, I'm waiting for the Ascent at the end of the month dropping on Xbox Game Pass. I can't wait to play that game. But let me know what you're playing. Are you playing something on your Xbox, your PS5, or your PC? Are you waiting for something to drop on Game Pass? Or are you buying something on your PS5? Let me know down below because that's what we're here for, so talk games. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.